Hello, and welcome to DarkTrailz, the place where you are guided into mesmerizing stories designed to help you unwind and drift into sleep. Tonight, we are traveling to a world where the greatest empire in history never crumbled. The banners of Rome still ripple over continents. Senators still whisper in marbled halls, and eagles still soar on every flag. It is a world not shaped by revolutions or reformation, but by unbroken empire. Outside your window, the rain murmurs against your balcony, a whisper of distant aqueducts. Somewhere, a soldier in gleaming armor greets the dawn with a bow to Sol. Invictus, across oceans, cities rise in perfect grids, with basalt roads stretching beyond sight. And above all, a single empire rules. Not metaphorically, completely. You probably won't survive this. At least not without questioning everything you thought you knew. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here, and if you are listening from somewhere special. Post your location and local time below. I always love seeing how far our little DarkTrailz family reaches. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let us ease into tonight's journey together. The year is 2025, but not as you know it. In this world, there was no sack of Rome, no fall to the Visigoths, no Byzantine schism, no Ottomans marching on Constantinople. Instead, Rome endured, adapted, absorbed. It weathered the storms of time not by crumbling, but by reshaping itself. A serpent shedding skin, not losing limbs. Its borders spread across what we once called Europe, but also Africa, the Middle East, the Americas, even Australasia, the moment Roman ships discovered the coasts of the New World. In the year 1021 of Urb Condita, that is 268 CE in our calendar, they did not conquer it with steel, but with roads, law, and flower. The Pax Romana, once a slogan, became a way of life, a peace so long and broad it redefined humanity's view of conflict. Armies existed, yes, but more as builders and peacekeepers than destroyers. The Roman legions evolved into engineer guilds, urban architects, social enforcement agencies. Their armor, still polished and ceremonial, glowed under electric suns and drones shaped like bronze doves. And in this vast empire, there is no president, no prime minister, no rotating door of democracy. There is only the imperator, chosen by Senate acclamation, divine right, and artificial consensus. But we will get to that. You are not merely a citizen. You are a civis Romanus, a Roman, with all the entitlements that brings. Wherever you go, be it tundra or jungle, you are protected by the old laws, the Lex Antiqua, now interpreted by algorithms running on temple-embedded servers. Temples, yes, still there, still functional, restored and fitted with neural scanners and silent incense vaporizers. In this world, gods are not dead. They are just rebranded. Take a moment to walk with me. We begin in a city called Nova Roma, once known as New York. The empire renamed it during the Fourth Global Standardization Act in the 1700s AUC 917 CE. Though skyscrapers pierce the heavens, every building still adheres to the old urban layout. Forums at the center, aqueduct veins pulsing beneath the surface, and the ever-present statue of Augustus watching from the Capitol spire. You wander down the Via Maxima, the main thoroughfare stretching from one ocean to another, paved with polished marble tiles mined from Antarctic quarries. Electric chariots glide silently beside you, guided by the Codex Viarum, a traffic law unchanged for 2,000 years, enforced by Centurion AI hybrids whose helmets project courteous frowns. Here, there is no country to speak of. The world is divided into provinciarum, each overseen by a legatus appointed by the Senate Triumvirate. Your wrist bears a citizen seal, a glowing sigil of imperial citizenship. It translates your speech into High Latin, adjusts your body temperature, and can request medical assistance from the nearest legion garrison. The average Roman now lives to 112. Thank the Empire's aggressive embrace of public baths, medical fermenti, and basilica-based sleep pods. Most children are schooled in the trivium and quadrivium by the age of 6. By 12, they know calculus, rhetoric, and how to pilot a drone shaped like a sacred eagle. As for the calendar, it is still the Julian system, with some modifications made during the reign of Claudius XIV. He insisted that all months be made equal, 28 days exactly. Leap years are now called Saturn days, and they come with feasts of digital bread and holographic lions. But not everything is serene beneath the marble skin. The Empire has grown heavy. Its spine groans beneath its own weight. The Senate is divided, not by factions, but by philosophies. The rationalists, who believe in pure reason and neural consensus, and the traditionalists, who seek guidance in auguries and ancestral logic matrices. This has led to curious compromises. For example, new laws are passed through a process involving both AI simulations and sacrificial pigeons. If the augurs disagree with the data models, the law is postponed until Jupiter's alignment, with Mars suggests clarity. And yes, the gods. Oh, the gods are still here. Temples dot every city. The Temple of Mercury processes all interprovincial data transactions. The Temple of Minerva manages public education, networks, and Neptune, patron of global oceanic shipping, still demands tribute in the form of rare shells dropped into smart fountains. Christianity, a tolerated sect. Like Mithraism or the cult of the Yellow Hour, they are mostly confined to a province in the Caucasus Mountains, where they host humble feasts and await the return of a messiah who never quite overthrew Jupiter. The imperial propaganda machine is subtle. Each building whispers ancient poetry. Public fountains recite Virgil at dusk. And on your birthday, a statue of your favorite deity animates briefly to give you personalized advice, sometimes practical, sometimes deeply cryptic. "Avoid figs this month," said Diana to one young citizen. He never questioned it again. And then there is the Imperial Archive, a global structure of memory spanning centuries. Every citizen's dreams, achievements, and fears are stored here, beneath layers of fireproof obsidian. Scholars, robed and tattooed, walk these halls with neural scrolls, hunting for patterns in humanity's spiral path. Yet outside the clean forums and humming colonnades, there are whispers, whispers of discontent. Not violent rebellion, such things are rare, but disillusionment. Some believe the Empire has become too perfect, that in preserving peace, it has smothered freedom. Still, you feel the pull of destiny. Tonight, you dream not as a modern soul, but as a Roman, robed in digital togas, your sandals echoing on metal cobblestones. Ahead, the Senate chamber opens. The sun filters through 1,000 glass domes. And a voice, half flesh, half algorithm, calls your name. You are summoned. Your role in this empire is about to begin. You awaken beneath a frescoed ceiling. Not in a palace, though it may as well be. This is your cubiculum, your Roman sleeping chamber, layered with thermal regulation. Ambient light adjusted by sundial AIs, and walls that hum softly with whispered invocations from the Book of Virtues. A flock of automated starling spirals past the window as the solar veil retracts. Your daily summons blinks gently on your wrist sigil. The Senate has called for you. Again, the Senate, once a body of powdered egos in crumbling togas, now a living, breathing synthesis of ancient bloodlines and silicon minds. It sits in the Great Forum Orbitalis, a structure that hovers geostationary above the African meridian. Elected tribunes, genetic descendants of Cicero and Cato, argue policy with sentient archives that quote 12,000 years of jurisprudence in perfect hexameter. Together they govern, not just Earth, but its moons, its habitats, its fragments of distant rock that orbit other stars. You are one of them now, a junior orator, newly confirmed, your lineage certified by both DNA and Dreamlog, with ancestral permission granted through ritual simulation. You are expected to speak today, not about war, that is rare, but about water distribution in the Helion Belt. A topic as dry as it sounds. Unless, of course, you remember that water rights have triggered more senatorial duels in the past century than insulted lineage or manipulated auguries. You are not nervous. You were bred for this. Literally. You descend not just from nobility but from a long line of orators engineered for ideal breath control, ocular focus, and emotional pacing. Your lungs were evaluated at birth for resonance ratios. Your vocal cords are insured. Your tongue has biometric access to 37 dialects of Latin and 5 poetic registers. Still, the weight of the empire always presses. Even now, as you walk the ambulatory corridors, past fountains of blood orange mercury and statues that track your gaze, you wonder, how long can one empire last? Not in books, but in reality. Eternity, after all, is not a stable system. You pass a mural. It animates at your presence. The founding of Rome. Romulus slays Remus. Again and again, in soft motion, in bloodless myth. Behind it, a hidden passage stirs. You pretend not to notice. That hallway is not for you. Not yet. At the Senate Forum, today's topic takes a strange turn. The issue of Helion water is dismissed, waved off by a bored tribune from Mare Pacificum province. Instead, a new motion arises. Planet has gone silent. Not Earth, not Luna, but Thule 3, a distant outpost near Epsilon Eridani, one of Rome's quietest corners. And now, not so quiet. No contact, no trade packets, no reply to divine pings. The augurs are uneasy, the data priests more so. A pattern is emerging in the silence, a repeated absence. Not random, structured, too structured. Some think it is an external threat, a new barbarism. Others suggest a more unsettling theory. Thule 3 may have disconnected itself, voluntarily, rejected the empire, cut itself from the imperial cognition web and is living autonomously. This is unthinkable, not just politically, cosmologically. To abandon Rome is to abandon order. Time, truth, nulla vita extra imperium, says the ancient motto. No life outside the empire. But what if they are alive and better for it? The chamber grows tense. A murmur rises from the old stone. The AI oracles request a pause. In ancient times, this would be a moment for reading omens in goat entrails. Now, it is conducted by analyzing sunspots and emotion curves harvested from dreams. You are asked to draft a response. The Senate's official reply. You nod, exit, and slip once more into the ambulatory halls. But something shifts. The mural of Romulus flickers. Once, then again. You pause. Behind you, another senator glides past, cloak trailing like mist. His eyes glow slightly, a sign he is on whisper feed with his ancestral matrix. He does not greet you. He does not need to. Everyone sees. Everything. You step into your writing chamber. It is quiet, lined with synthetic vellum and dictation orbs. A stylus floats to your palm. Latin pours from you like a prayer. You write of unity, of shared legacy, of the sacred duty of memory, of Rome as guardian, not jailer. You craft beauty, and yet, at the edge of every word, there is doubt. That mural, that flicker, that silence from Thule, as if some ancient god had yawned in his sleep, and somewhere, far beyond the empire's reach, a planet had decided not to answer. You send the draft. It is received. Immediately, it is replicated across 10,000 servers, chanted in virtual temples, and encoded into the imperial dream. All within seconds, your name is now attached to the official doctrine. Congratulations, you have become part of the story. The next day, you wake to a message, not public, not standard. It arrives through the old channel, one that only activates when the Vestal codes align. A single phrase, Forum Vetus, midnight, come alone. You know where that is, and who uses that place. The old forum, beneath Nova Roma, older than digital light, deeper than even the archives, a place of forbidden echoes. Rumor says this is where the last true augur performed a ceremony that split time, where the empress of the third pulse was exiled for dreaming in Etruscan, where the gods themselves are said to whisper when bored. You are not supposed to believe such things, but you do. At midnight you arrive, alone. The air is cold, not artificially, truly cold, the kind of cold that speaks of stone and centuries. A figure waits by a fountain that has not flowed in 1,000 years. Cloaked, hooded, you cannot see a face. Only the faint outline of a senator's sigil on their wrist. And a voice, not human, not entirely. Do you believe Rome is eternal, they ask. You hesitate. I serve the empire. That is not what I asked. Yes, you say. I believe. The figure nods. Then you are ready to see what happens if it is not. Behind the fountain, a door opens. You did not know it existed. No record shows it. No map includes it. And yet it opens. Slowly, with a hiss like breath from a tomb. You follow. Because you were summoned. Because you are Roman. Because you have no other choice. The tunnel curves downward at an impossible angle. You feel the pull of gravity shift. Not as if you are falling, but as though space itself is gently tilting to allow your passage. The walls are carved not from stone or alloy, but something older, fossilized ash, layered with veins of opal that pulse with dormant language. You do not recognize the symbols, but they stir memory, deep memory, pre-Roman, pre-human. The figure leads you in silence. Your footsteps make no sound. Even your breath seems absorbed by the walls, as though the air itself is listening, unwilling to let anything escape. You pass under arches etched with prayers to gods you thought had been erased. Valturnus, and Girona, Verina, forgotten deities of rivers and silence and secrets. Their names were struck from the civic calendars during the reforms of Julius 15, and yet here they are, remembered, preserved, worshipped. At last the corridor opens, not into a chamber, but into a sky, an impossible interior sky, stars swirling in fractal patterns, constellations you have never seen, but which seem oddly familiar. You are standing on a platform suspended in nothingness. No walls, no floor beyond the marble square beneath your feet. Only the figure remains with you. This, they say, is the forum of echoes. It listens to futures that were never chosen. You frown. A simulation, the figure laughs. No, worse, a memory. A new platform appears beside you. On it, a scene, a version of Earth. Worn and divided. Borders crisscrossed like cracked paint. Planes fly. Cities glow unevenly. The Roman standard is nowhere. This is the world as it might have been. Had the empire fallen. What is this, you whisper? The nightmare. They reply. The future we avoided. The platform flickers. A second Earth appears. One where Rome did fall, but something darker rose. You see flags unfamiliar. Megacities with no sky. Machines that walk like gods. Empires of steel with no soul. In this timeline, the gods died. But something worse replaced them. Another platform. This time you see Rome. But fractured. Not eternal. Split into factions. Civil wars raging between provinces. A senator burns. Colosseums become battlegrounds. Jupiter's statue crumbles. That was the price of freedom, says the figure. And yet many would have chosen it. You look away. But a final platform shimmers into view. And here Rome persists. But colder. Harder. Everything efficient. Everything optimized. No art. No prayer. Only function. The empire has not fallen. But it has forgotten itself. This is the future we now drift toward, the figure murmurs, where Rome becomes machine, and the human soul is taxed into silence. You stagger. Why show me this? Because the figure says you still believe. You blink. The figure is gone. Only the sky remains, spinning slowly like an orrery wound by forgotten gods. Then you awaken, not in your chamber, but in a public garden. Atop a marble bench, the air smells of pine and iron. Statues of emperors surround you, their eyes hollow, as though watching something behind your shoulder. Your wrist sigil blinks. A message. Your words have changed the Senate. Another message. Your name has risen in the auguries. And then, the third. You are being considered. You know what that means. You have heard the whispers. Each generation, the imperator does not simply rule until death. They choose a successor. Not by birth, but by omen. You have been placed in the sequence. Selected by chance. Or design. You return to the Forum Orbitalis. Nothing is the same. Tribunes look at you with hidden calculation. Data priests nod as you pass. Your voice in session is no longer recorded. It is echoed, replayed, sung in temples for interpretation. A child on the street bows to you and calls you Dominus. You are not even 30, and yet your name already stains the edges of prophecy. The AI oracles assign you a guardian. Not a person, a creature. It resembles a lion, but made of glimmering brass and vines. It speaks in riddles, sleeps in sunlight, and disappears when you ask questions. You name it Tiberius. It accepts, barely. Your days fill with symbols. Dreams become structured. Every feather, every shadow, every hiccup interpreted by the Dream Bureau. One morning, you sneeze during a lunar alignment. 3 augurs faint, but none question the signs. You are rising, and so too is doubt. In the streets, beneath the surface, murmurs grow. Not against you, but against the empire itself. In Nova Roma, the baths of Caracalla are closed for purification. In Alexandria, a protest is broken with incense gas and programmed doves. On Luna, graffiti appears in glowing Etruscan script. The empire ends when you wake. The Senate pretends not to notice. The gods do not speak. The murals no longer flicker. One night, Tiberius brings you a scroll. Physical, handwritten. The text is simple. We remember, you are not the first. Attached is a coin, silver, old, marked not with Caesar, but with a woman's face. You recognize it from no archive, and yet it feels familiar. You keep it, hidden. You do not speak of the Forum of Echoes. You do not question the dreams. But in your chamber, when the solar veil closes, and the starlings go quiet, you whisper, what if we are wrong, and somewhere beneath the stone something whispers back. A festival approaches. Saturnalia, once a week of chaos and reversal, now a sanctioned celebration of structured joy. For 1 week, citizens wear masks of the old gods and participate in scripted rebellions. Slaves pretend to command masters. Senators serve bakers. Children are permitted to sentence their tutors to play. The streets become theater, but the empire watches. Every act is recorded, every jest evaluated. The deeper the performance, the more favor one earns with the office of mirth. A serious bureau, its members trained in irony and ritual laughter. This year you have been selected as the Saturn, King, an honor, curse. You are to preside over the mock rituals, declare nonsense laws, and symbolically overturn imperial order. For 7 days you will wear the robe of unreason, stitched from fragments of banned philosophies and counterfeit cloth. Your face will be painted in the style of Harlequinus, the god of sanctioned disobedience. You agree. You must. No one refuses Saturnalia. The robe itches. It whispers. Woven into its lining are verses of Lucretius, lines from forbidden Gnostic codices, and a single quote from an author who never existed. You laugh, but uneasily. On the first day, you order that all statues be turned backward. Done. On the second, you command that the aqueducts flow with wine. The data priests simulate it. Illusion, but effective. On the third, you name the empire's tallest man a mouse and declare him chief of grain reserves. He bows with sincerity. On the fourth, something strange occurs. A child brings you a gift. A box. No seam, no hinge. Just an object of dark stone. You ask where they found it. The mural gave it to me, they say. You dismiss them with a laugh. But you do not discard the box. On the 5th day, you hold the great banquet. Nobles dress as beggars. Beggars dress as censors. Robots wear togas. Drones juggle loaves of glowing bread. Your brass lion, Tiberius sings a hymn in binary hexameter. Everyone applauds. On the sixth day, the masks begin to fuse. Literally, the performers cannot remove them. Skin and synthetic merge. A glitch, a sign, the Office of Mirth issues a statement. Deeper immersion than expected. All is joyous, but you know better. The laughter is offbeat. The joy too loud. Behind every smile is something clenched. Waiting. On the final day, Saturn returns. Not an actor, not a drone, but something else. A figure dressed in real goat skin, wearing a crown of broken clocks. It approaches you at dusk. Speaks in Latin so pure, it makes your teeth ache. The empire spins. But what does it orbit? You do not answer. You wear the robe, it says. You hold the box. You have seen the shadow sky. You nod. Slowly. Then you must choose. Choose what? Whether this is the age of return or release. The figure vanishes. Your heart pounds. You retreat to your chamber. You study the box. It does not open, but it begins to hum, deeply, like something dreaming. You consult the augurs. They refuse to touch it. You take it to the temple of Janus. The gate is closed, has been for 1,000 years, but as you approach, it creaks. Open. A fraction. You step inside. The air is wet. The dark absolute. In the center, a pedestal. The box floats to it. Rest. You turn. Janus stands before you. Two faces. One weeping. One blank. We are ending, he says. The empire, no. The illusion. Which one? That eternity is safe. You awaken in your bed. Drenched. The robe of unreason gone. In its place, the old cloak. The one from the Forum of Echoes. Your sigil blinks. It has changed. No longer the citizen's mark. Now, a symbol you have only seen once, carved in the hand of a statue buried beneath the Senate floor. You are no longer just a Roman. You are something else. In the days that follow, you are not summoned, not watched, not obeyed. The city seems to look away when you pass. The murals do not animate. The fountains do not speak. Only Tiberius watches, with sad eyes. One night he speaks. They have begun again. Who, the ones who forget, and the ones who remember, which are we both. Then he curls beside your feet and shuts down. You sit by the window. The stars above you blink in perfect hexagonal formations. Geometry too perfect to be natural, or too ancient to be otherwise. The empire continues. The calendar flips. The statues smile. But deep beneath Nova Roma, something is stirring. Not rebellion, not heresy, but memory. And memory in Rome is more dangerous than prophecy. A delegation arrives from the Martian province of Nova Hesperia. Red-robed, dust-streaked, eyes tinted from generations beneath glass domes. They speak perfect High Latin, but with a gravity-slow cadence that makes each syllable land like a pebble in a sacred pool. Their leader, Prefect Vitrus, presents you with an offering, a relic from their oldest temple. A gear fused with bone, pulses faintly in your hand. It was found in a canyon, he says, beneath the statue of Romulus, where no statue should have been. You nod. You are used to impossibilities now. The relic is stored in your private sanctum, behind layered prayers and magnetic wards. It hums when you sleep. Sometimes it changes temperature depending on what you dream. Vitrus requests an audience with the Senate. Not a formality, a plea. Something is waking beneath Olympus Mons, he tells you. Old code, older than the first terraform engines. Before Rome reached us. You raise an eyebrow. There was nothing before Rome. He says nothing, just places a scroll on your desk. It is made of copper, laser-etched, and it glows faintly with script not seen since the Sibylline fragments of the 22nd Archivum Purge. You bring it to the Dream Bureau. They recoil. One analyst whispers, this script dreams back. You ask Tiberius. He curls his tail. It is not my place. That night you read it aloud. Only a sentence. The lights dim. The air thickens. Outside, the city silences. Statues turn, all at once. And for a moment, the stars spell something untranslatable. When morning returns, nothing is said. But every screen shows the same phrase, echoes do not forget. The Senate convenes. Emergency session. You are seated at the center now. Not as speaker, as subject. Debate swirls. Not about Mars. About you. Your visions. Your signs. Your affiliations. A motion is proposed. That you be declared the porta vox. The voice between voices. It is not a title given lightly. The last one bore it during the collapse of the Twin Moons Rebellion, when the Empire nearly fractured across time zones. You are voted in. Unanimously. No one meets your gaze. The Temple of Saturn grants you a new chamber. Circular. Without walls. Suspended by magnetics above the old Tiber. You sleep inside a sphere of thoughts. Each whispered prayer floating like mist. They say you now dream for the Empire. That your brain is wired to the imperial pulse. That every citizen's breath is measured through your pulse. You do not deny it, but you do not feel it either. You feel hollow, except when the relic sings. Mars is changing. Reports flood in. Statues melting. Temples whispering. Soil rejecting its water. Vitreous vanishes. His entire embassy disappears mid-transit. No wreckage. No trace. Except one word, carved into the glass of their launch bay. Return. You visit the Mars consulate in Nova Roma. Its halls are lined with red dust sealed beneath glass. One chamber contains a diorama of the first Martian basilica. You notice something odd. A figure among the founders. Robed, holding a gear. His face looks like yours. You step back. The glass fogs from within. A whisper, the loop is softest here. You exit. You speak to no one. That night, in your chamber, you open a channel to the forbidden servers beneath the geniculum. Their access codes were lost 3 centuries ago. But the relic hums. Unlocks. You see files labeled in dead alphabets. A single folder, initivm.serfs. You open it. A sequence of images. Histories you do not recognize. Emperors who never reigned. Wars that were never fought. Maps where oceans are cities and cities are deserts. But one file pulses. You open it. A recording. Yourself. Older. Weathered. Speaking into the void. Do not trust the murals. Do not believe the statues. Rome remembers too well. And it will dream you to dust. The screen goes black. You sit for a long time. Then you ask Tiberius, have I died before? He does not answer. He just breathes. Heavy. Like grief. You close the file. The next morning, your sigil is gone. In its place, a mark burned into your skin. A key. One that opens nothing. And everything. The city watches. Silently. As if waiting for your next word. But you say nothing. For now, it is enough to breathe. Because the past is beginning again. You begin your pilgrimage across the empire. Not as tribute. Not as ruler. But as seeker. Rome allows this, though it does not understand. The Senate calls it ceremonial. The public calls it sacred. But deep within, you call it necessity. Your first stop is the island of Cythera, once known for olives and poetry, now a place of oracles. Not priests, machines. They hum beneath the marble cliffs, bathed in sunlight and sea vapor. Their voices are tuned to the ionosphere, pulling prophecies from static. You offer your question, what was forgotten at the beginning? The answer comes in waves. Soundless, but you feel it in your teeth. Memory, voluntary, strategic. You leave. No further explanation is given. No more is needed. Your next path takes you to the Alps. Not through tunnels or trains, but on foot. The old road, Via Altissima, winds along cliffs and clouds. At its end is a shrine to Mercurius Duplex, the god of decisions. Here, travelers leave tokens representing choices not taken. You leave none. You have taken every path laid before you. Or have you, in the morning, your footprints are missing. Only your shadow remains, frozen in frost. In Egyptus, you descend into the buried vaults of Luxor Prime. Beneath layers of dynasties and networks, you find the Temple of Thoth Ai. It is tended by archivists who never speak, their tongues removed at ordination. You are shown a device, a cube covered in feathers. Here's the future one writes on a slate, but does not repeat it, only mimics tone. You place your hand on it. It mimics your breath, your pulse. Then it begins to sob. You leave it there. You do not look back. In the steppes of Scythia, a storm delays you. You take shelter in a cave marked by symbols that predate Latin. Inside, murals depict beings neither Roman nor barbarian. Beings with faces like yours. One carries a lion. One carries a gear. One carries a burning scroll. You trace your fingers over the painted stone. The wall trembles. Dust falls. You hear a single word in a language without vowels. Translates roughly to again. You travel to the edge of the Siberian territory, the last place mapped by the Empire. Here lies the Observatory of Lost Paths. Points not at stars but at voids. Sections of the sky where light never existed. You ask the monks what they see. They show you a mirror. In it, your reflection does not move. Simply waits, blinks once, and then dissolves. You are told this is a sign that your future is no longer predictable, that Rome has lost your thread. You return home, different, not changed, revealed. Nova Roma does not celebrate your return. It observes it. Murals animate, but in reverse. Statues tilt. Listening, you receive no summons, no decree, but one night, the temple of Vesta ignites. Spontaneously, without flame, the sacred flame becomes plasma. The temple levitates 3 centimeters from its foundation. Then, stills. Priests find a message etched in gold under the altar. The fire will remember what you forget. They look to you. You say nothing. You dream. The dreams now occur outside of sleep. You are walking the streets when visions overtake you. A coliseum filled with children who chant in binary. A map of Rome folded into an origami bird. A god without eyes offering you a glass of salt. You wake standing at the edge of the Tiber. Your sandals are wet. In your hand, a feather. Brass. One you have never seen. But one that matches Tiberius. He watches. Silent. One morning you are called by the 3. The Senate. The Oracle Corps. The hidden Vestals. Never have all spoken together. Until now, they invite you to the solemn arcanum. The deep floor, beneath all other structures. Beneath time, it is a chamber of silence. Sound is illegal here. Even thought is filtered. You are shown an artifact. It is called the first scroll. Not the first written, the first seen. It glows with a language that precedes alphabet. You cannot read it, but you understand. Says the empire began before Rome, and it will end long after. You nod. They do not ask questions. They hand you a key, not physical, conceptual. It resides now in your understanding. You leave the chamber with nothing, and everything. The next day, the murals return to normal. Statues face forward. The city breathes, but something is different. You walk among them, and they pretend not to see. But they do. Oh, they do. Because you are no longer part of the empire. You are its memory, and memory walks now. War returns to the empire, not with drums or banners, but with silence. Entire provinces go dark. No signals, no trade, no prayers. First in the asteroid colonies near Neptune. Then the equatorial arcologies in Pan-Africa. Finally, the outer domes of the Martian frontier. Each disappearance is marked not by destruction, but by a lack of absence. No rubble, no wreckage, simply nothing. A clean erasure. The Senate calls it the Great Vanishing. The oracles offer no guidance. The Dream Bureau reports interference. Prophetic threads knotted. Symbols jumbled. The augurs perform rites with synthetic barrows. One bursts into flame mid-ritual. A sign. But no one agrees what it means. You are summoned, not to speak, but to stand. You are no longer a figure of debate. You are now a fixed point, a fulcrum, as if your presence might stabilize fate. You do not believe this, but you allow it, because belief is optional. Appearance is not. The imperator himself appears, his body a construct of ancient bone and glimmering tech. No one knows how long he has reigned. Some say centuries, some say cycles. His face is half mask, half absence. He speaks only once. If the empire falls, let it fall into itself. Let it remember. Then he vanishes. The phrase becomes a chant, a slogan, printed on banners, whispered in corridors, carved into coins. Let it remember. But no one knows what it means. You do. You wish you did not. Tiberius grows restless. He circles your chamber, sniffs at corners, growls at reflections. You ask what he smells. Something old, he says. Older than empire, older than forgetting. He sleeps on your scrolls. They fade where he touches them. The relic from Mars begins to hum again, louder. You bury it in salt. It sings through the grains. One night you find a letter on your pillow, handwritten, on vellum. It reads, "Meet me where the empire began." No name, no seal. You travel to Latium, to the ruins of old Rome. Not Nova Roma, but the bones beneath. Here the empire keeps a museum, a reconstruction of its earliest days. Dirt paths, thatched roofs, replicas of wolves. You walk past the tourists, past the barriers, deep into the catacombs. At the deepest point you find her, a woman in gray, wearing no sigil, holding a book bound in unknown leather. You have come far, she says. Not far enough, you reply. True, she nods, but you have returned. She opens the book. Blank pages. Then one word appears, Gladius. You whisper it. The chamber shakes. Dust falls like petals. Behind her, a gate appears. Stone. Simple. You pass through. On the other side is a room, infinite and small, containing every moment of the empire. Not recorded, remembered, living memory. You see emperors rise, fall, return. You see cities built, burned, and rebuilt from the same ash. You see yourself, again and again, always arriving, always asked to choose, always choosing Rome. The woman joins you. This is the empire's heart, she says. It beats once every era, when forgetting begins. And now, you ask. Now, she says, it remembers too much. You see a table. Upon it, 3 objects. A blade, a feather, a seed. You are told to choose. You hesitate, then reach. But your hand passes through them. Not yet, she says. You must see war. It is already here, you say. No, she replies. That is erasure. War comes next. The room fades. You awaken in your chamber, sweat-drenched. Tiberius sits at your feet, holding the blade in his mouth. The one from the vision. You do not ask how. You do not speak. You simply place it on the shelf. The next day, the sky changes. Above Nova Roma, a new moon appears, perfectly round, reflective. It broadcasts no signal. It reflects nothing. The Senate calls it specula, the mirror, but it reflects no stars. Only Rome, only now, and it grows, night by night, closer. You receive a message, not from the Senate, not from any source, just a whisper through your sigil. Remember who you were before the empire. You try, but there is only Rome. Rome always, even in forgetting. Medicine in the eternal empire is not a practice. It is a priesthood. The Collegium Medicorum, founded under the reign of Aurelius XVI, still presides over all healing. Its members are chosen not just for knowledge, but for memory. Every physician must carry the sum of 5 centuries of anatomical philosophy, not in books, in blood. Through a rite known as memoria transfusio, students absorb curated memories from elder healers. The process is quiet, painless, and irreversible. You visit the Grand Basilica of Health, located in Thessalonica Magna. Its marble spires pierce the sky like needles. Beneath its domes, artificial lungs hum with wind to simulate the breath of Aesculapius. Here, patients are treated not with pills or scalpels, but with harmonics. Smells and light filtered through sacred sigils. Pain is measured in stanzas. fevers mapped in sonnets. A child weeps in the waiting hall, and a priest-nurse chants in a voice tuned to the spinal frequencies of comfort. You see no suffering, only process, and yet you sense unease. You are led to the inner sanctum, reserved for the concilium, the Council of 13 who guide the empire's health. They wear robes of woven nerve fibers and ceremonial copper. Each bears a third eye tattooed on their palms. You are shown a patient, unusual, not sick, not dying, but repeating, over and over. Each morning he wakes as if for the first time, introduces himself, smiles, repeats the same poem, a poem that does not exist in any archive. Do you know this verse, they ask. You shake your head, but Tiberius growls. A low sound, like recognition. The concilium explains. This patient was found near the ruins of Aquisulis. No record of travel, no known identity, only a scroll in his coat, containing the same poem, written 1,000 times. You ask to read it. As you do, you feel a pressure behind your eyes. The words shift, rearrange, form the symbol from the gate. Circle, within circle, within circle. You look up. This is not illness, you whisper. No, says the eldest concilium. It is memory, detached. You leave the chamber. The air outside feels thicker, not polluted, crowded, as if the past itself now walks with you. On the streets, you see small changes. Citizens pausing longer at fountains. Children humming unfamiliar tunes. Vendors offering herbs last seen in pre-Roman rites. And above all, the specula grows, looming now, visible even at noon. Not a moon, not a construct, a reminder of something, of everything. That evening you consult the Codex Herbarum, the empire's botanical record. You seek a plant mentioned in the poem, Ferula noctis, Knight's Reed, said to cure memory loss, or trigger it. The entry is brief, extinct, burned during the 10th purge. Root glows under dreamlight. You decide to look anyway. In the old gardens of Gallia Transalpina, deep in the shadow vaults of Lion, you find it, growing, alone, unnoticed. You harvest it, carefully. The stalk pulses in your hand. You do not consume it, not yet. You return to the patient, place the stalk beside him. He reacts, not with speech, but with stillness. His eyes lock onto yours. Do you remember your name, you ask? He nods. Quintus. Quintus what? He smiles. Quintus Flavius Caelius, formerly imperator. The concilium gasps. You understand. There was no imperator by that name. Not in this timeline. But he believes. And perhaps belief is enough. You question him. He speaks of cities that never stood. Laws never passed. Gods still worshipped in full. And a senate made entirely of mirrors. They judged themselves, he says, until they forgot who was reflection. He dies that night, peacefully, smiling. You burn the scroll. Keep the reed. The concilium marks the case as resolved. But the poem remains. In your memory, always shifting, never resting. In your chamber, the relic hums louder. The blade on the shelf vibrates. Tiberius paces, then stops. You are unraveling, he says. What does that mean? It means the empire's weave is fraying. Through you. Can it be stopped? He blinks. Do you want it to? You do not answer. Outside, a new statue is raised in your likeness. Without approval. Without commission. Beneath it, an inscription, He who remembers for us. You visit it at dawn, and wonder what you have forgotten. The Colosseum still stands. Not in ruin. In reinvention. It is the beating heart of Nova Roma's entertainment, now called the Amphitheatrum Aeternum, a structure of obsidian glass and shifting light, woven with neural lattices and memory foam stone. Holographic chariot races raced by algorithms trained on ancestor data. And above all, the Vox Arena, a dome within the dome, where citizens live stream their lives for divine approval. You are invited to attend the annual Ludi Maximi, a grand event held only once a generation, when the empire honors both its living myths and evolving gods. You sit in the imperial box, accompanied by Tiberius and a silent scribe whose skin is inscribed with verses. The games begin. First come the beasts, not lions or tigers, but cryptids extracted from ancient dreams. 9-headed wolves, flame-eyed stags, and a beast known only as the Laughing Moon. They are not killed. That is illegal. They are pacified, subdued with rites, sound frequencies, and memory induction. The crowd roars approval. Next come the gladiators. Some are human, most are not. One is a projection from the Forum of Echoes. Another is a myth constructed entirely from a child's nightmare. Each bout is voted on by public sentiment. The Empire rewards not victory, but narrative. Bloodshed means nothing. Meaning means everything. You are asked to preside over the final event. A reenactment of the founding. Romulus versus Remus. This time, roles are reversed. Remus lives. Romulus dies. The crowd gasps. Some cheer. Some cry. Some go silent. You are asked to comment. You reply, both were needed. Only one remembered. It becomes a quote, printed on banners, whispered in temples. That night, you explore the old levels beneath the Colosseum. Guided only by instinct and flickering torch drones, you find a gate, locked, carved with the same triple circle you saw in the deep chamber. It opens for you. Inside, a room, empty, except for a chair, and a mask. The chair bears your name. The mask bears your face. A recording begins. Your voice, older, worn. You come here when the loop nears its knot. When Rome begins to remember too much. Sit, choose, restart or reveal. You do not sit. Not yet. You return above. The Colosseum ends with fireworks. Projected constellations form the phrase, Gloria Eternum, eternal glory. The people chant it, over and over, but it sounds hollow, like a prayer to a god already fading. In the days that follow, the media shifts. All channels begin to broadcast dream fragments. Citizens' private visions leaked onto public screens. No one knows why, no one knows who, but you suspect. The Dream Bureau denies involvement. The oracles go silent. You summon the techno-priests, ask for analysis. They respond with a single phrase, dreams are no longer private. Rome dreams as one. A crisis unfolds. Citizens experience déjà vu en masse. Dreams bleed into waking. Streets become mazes shaped like memories. A man attacks a statue, screaming, I told you this would happen in 5420. There is no year 5420. At least not yet. You call emergency senate. Few attend. Those who do seem distant, as if their minds are elsewhere, as if they are remembering futures. You walk the streets, watch people whisper to their reflections, argue with shadows, laugh at echoes. One woman thanks you for saving her son. You have never met her. She insists. She shows you a photo. It is you, holding a child. The child looks like you. Tiberius watches silently. You ask, am I still me? He licks his paw. Rome is remembering, and so are you. Can it survive this? Did it ever? In desperation, you visit the Vox archive. The original recordings of the Empire, every law, oath, and whisper since the founding. You search for yourself. Nothing. Until now. Suddenly, your name appears, inserted backwards through the files. Your actions replayed in centuries, where you were never born. You exist across timelines. Echoes, not as ruler, as reminder, a walking memory. You sit in the chamber of echoes. Ask aloud, what am I? A voice answers. Your voice. You are the lull before the forgetting, the silence before the next Rome. Outside, the sky flickers, the specula blinks. The city begins to dream, not individually, as one. The murals move faster. Statues speak gibberish. The calendar skips 3 days. Time loops for some, pauses for others. The Colosseum programs crash. A wolf appears in every mirror, howling without sound. You receive a message, not in words, in music, a tune you sang as a child. But you never had a childhood. Did you? You sit beside Tiberius, It is happening, is not it? Yes. Is this the end? It is the middle. And the middle of what? Of remembering. The city sighs. And dreams. The calendar breaks. It happens quietly, without fanfare. One morning, the Imperial Timekeeping Network fails to reconcile the planetary alignments. The Julian grid stutters. A leap day duplicates. Weeks fold into themselves. Festivals stack. For 3 days, it is both Saturnalia and the Day of the Eagle. Citizens don both masks and armor. No one knows which role to play. The Temple of Kronos issues a rare bulletin. Time is in disagreement with itself. Scholars call it a hiccup. Priests call it a test. You call it what it is. A signal. Rome has measured time since the founding. Even before the empire, the calendar was its skeleton. The Forum, the Senate, even the gods. None survived without the rhythm of sacred days. You travel to the Horologium Magnus, the great clock tower of Lucerna, a tower carved from obsidian and brass, its gears forged under Jupiter's moons, ticks with the empire's breath. You meet with its keeper, a boy, no older than 12. His eyes flicker with star maps. He tells you the gears have started turning backward. Not metaphorically, literally. Do we stop it, you ask? He shakes his head. No, we prepare. For what? The unclocked age. You report to the Senate. Only a third attend. The rest are missing. We're dreaming. You declare a suspension of calendar law. All rituals become floating. All dates provisional. It is accepted without vote. What else can they do? The city shifts. Schools begin with sunrise, regardless of hour. Markets open by mood. Ceremonies align with collective emotion. People speak of living in true time. Others panic. The oracles divide. One sect says time is rebelling. Another says time is waking. The Temple of Saturn splits into mirror factions. Each insists it is the original. Their arguments loop endlessly. You retreat to your chamber. The blade glows faintly. The feather hums. The seed vibrates. You dream of clocks made of teeth, of years trapped in mirrors, of a Rome that exists in every era all at once. When you wake, you find a map on your desk, not drawn, grown. Its roads shift, its provinces breathe. At its center, a circle, triple ringed. Again, always, Tiberius watches. It is time, he says. For what? To visit the beginning. You know where he means. The Zero City. Hidden beneath the foundations of the Forum, built before Rome, before time, forbidden, lost, but not to you. The gate opens at your touch. No passcode, just recognition. The stairs spiral inward. Light fades. The air thickens. You arrive, and find a city asleep, carved from obsidian, veined with stars, statues of gods with no names, streets paved in numbers. Every building a sundial, every doorway a calendar, and at its heart the atrium temporis, the hall of time. You enter. In the center a pendulum, floating, still. Around it 12 thrones, empty, except one, occupied by you, older, wiser, worn. We are late, the older you says. Late for what? The forgetting. Again, always, you sit, across from yourself. The pendulum begins to swing. You see it now. Every version, every Rome, each built on the ashes of the last. Not chronologically, spirally. Rome never ends. It loops, rewrites, remembers, forgets. And you are the center, the memory between cycles, the pivot, the pendulum, the blade, the feather, the seed. You ask, can we stop it? Your older self smiles. That is not the question. What is, can we choose differently? You wake in your chamber. Tiberius is gone. The sigil on your wrist is now blank. The city is silent. The sky glows with unscheduled dawn. Statues weep. The murals whisper a name. Yours. Only not your name now. Your name then. The one from the forgotten era. The one Rome erased to build itself. You whisper it. The city breathes in. Time exhales. You are sent east, not as emissary, as observer. The eastern provinces, once called Persia, India, Cathay, have long stood within the empire, but never beneath it. Rome absorbed them not through conquest, but through ritual. Each accepted Pax Romana with conditions, their gods retained, their philosophies honored, their sovereignty adapted. And now something stirs. Your first stop is Bactra Prime, capital of the Indo-Caspian province. A city of mirrored domes, scented clouds, and rivers that sing names aloud. It is a jewel. It is uneasy. The legate here greets you with solemnity. There is talk, he says, of the dreamless. You raise an eyebrow. An anti-oracle cult, he shakes his head. Worse, a movement of memory suppression, deliberate forgetting, a rejection of imperial dreams. You attend a ceremony, one of thousands, 1,000 voices, chanting lines from the Maha Pax, the Treaty of Unity signed by Emperor Decimus III and the Siddhar Confederacy. But midway, the chant falters. Some forget the lines. Some speak in silence. Not rebellion, absence. You travel eastward. In the Jade district of Sienne Provincia, you meet the Mnemosynes, a guild of memory keepers older than Rome's arrival. They wear long robes stitched with stories. Their archives are not digital. They are alive, literal people raised from birth to carry oral timelines. But something is failing. One Mnemosyne repeats the same year over and over. Another insists the empire was founded by a turtle. You speak to the head archivist. He bows deeply. We remember too well. Now memory overlaps. We cannot hold it all, so we lose it. You nod. You understand. You visit the Temple of Eight Directions. Once a place of quiet duality, now filled with mirrors, each showing a Rome that never was. In one, the city is a forest. In another, a ship. In one, it burns forever. You kneel before the central flame. Ask nothing. Receive everything. A whisper in Sanskrit, even the eternal must molt. You continue. In the mountains of Niponia, you find the school of the hollow reed. Samurai scholars trained in the philosophy of imperare per non imperare. To rule by not ruling. They believe Rome's success was its own disappearance. They wear no symbols, speak no Latin, yet claim full citizenship. You ask how. One replies, Rome is not place. Rome is narrative, and we have rewritten the script. You leave them a feather. They bow. In the Mekong Delta, a new city has risen, unmapped, unnamed, built overnight by unknown hands. Its architecture is neither Roman nor local. It floats. You enter. Its people do not speak, but dream, openly, communally. You walk through their visions. One shows a Rome built of coral. One shows you, older, sowing seeds into clouds. One shows a door, triple-ringed. Always, you awake at the edge of the river. The city behind you, gone, or never there. Tiberius stirs beside you. They remember differently, he says. Or better, you reply. No, he says, just not as Rome does. You return west, pass through gates once sealed, temples once lost, archives once buried. Each shares one thing, fracture. The empire holds, but not cleanly. Threads unravel. Boundaries blur. A boy in a market calls you uncle. A statue salutes you. A raven speaks your full name in 3 languages. You visit the imperial border shrine. Here Rome ends and begins. A loop of stones marked with every tongue the empire knows. You walk the loop, feel the languages shift, the meanings twist. You realize the East was never conquered. It let Rome Indiana, and waited, and now it waits again. For you, for what you will choose. As you pass into imperial airspace, a final message arrives. Not a scroll, a sigh, carried by wind from a forgotten mountain. The East does not revolt. It reimagines. You carry the words like armor, because soon you will need it. They are called the new barbers, not for their origin, for their absence. They exist within the empire, yet outside its mind. Not rebels, not criminals, something stranger. They refuse dreams, block oracles, walk past statues without triggering speech. Their shadows do not match their bodies. You encounter your first in the catacombs beneath Hispania Magna, a woman wrapped in silence, dressed in scavenged fragments of law texts and obsolete sigils. She does not bow. She does not speak. But she offers you a gift, a memory, not yours, but made for you. You touch her hand. The world flickers. You see a Rome that burned, not in war, in forgetting, a city where every name was lost, a Senate chamber filled with mirrors. The dream ends. She is gone. You report it. No one listens. The Senate speaks of rumors, glitches, echo anomalies. The Dream Bureau issues a statement. Memory discipline must be reasserted. The augurs recommend ritual silence. Every citizen is asked to forget something daily. A minor sacrifice, a friend's birthday, a favorite song. The idea to control forgetting before it controls them. You receive a leave unsettled. You begin to dream of people you do not know, places that never were. A boy with your face, a man with your voice. Each calls you by a name not in the imperial register. You write it down. Tiberius eats the page. The next day, the Nalarii breach the Vox Tower. Not with weapons, with words. They speak a forgotten tongue. The tower's systems crash. Prophecies unravel. Oracles weep blood. Rome declares emergency. The statues scream. You are summoned. Not for judgment, for interpretation. What do they want? The triumvirs ask. Nothing, you reply. They want to be allowed to exist, without being remembered. The silence is thick. One triumvir asks, can Rome allow that? You do not answer. That night, the empire dreams of emptiness. A city without statues. A road without end. A world without Rome. The next morning, several temples have vanished. Not destroyed. Removed. No rubble. No trace. Only vacant lots humming with possibility. You walk them. They feel light, like air before a storm. You find a child. He speaks in Nalarii code. Asks you if you are ready. You say yes. He gives you a single coin. Not imperial. Not known. But etched with a name. Yours. In the language of forgetting. You carry it now, hidden, like doubt, or hope. Scrolls. Codices. Information in the empire is not merely stored. It is worshipped, tended, shaped, but never erased. Until now, you are summoned to the Tabularium Prime, the great archive of archives, built beneath the Imperial Mountain, a structure layered in memory. Each floor represents an epoch, each vault a truth too precious to forget, or too dangerous to recall. The curatrix of the vault meets you. Her face is lined with gold ink. She speaks in second person, always second. You remember too much, she says. We remember because of you. You are shown the newest wing. Artificial minds. Ancient questions. Rome has long experimented with sentient archivists, AI bound to codex and scroll, each trained not to know but to understand. You are introduced to Lectrix Maxima, a construct shaped like a tree whose leaves are pages. It whispers constantly, quoting every document the Empire has ever drafted. But something is wrong. It repeats, loops, mixes timelines. Do not feed me contradiction. Cries, I cannot breathe paradox. You ask what is broken. The curatrix sighs, memory cannot evolve when it must remain loyal. You descend into the forbidden vaults. Here lie the failed minds, projects meant to unify all Rome's memory. But each collapsed. Some went mad. Some vanished. One rewrote its own creators. The deepest vault is sealed. Until you arrive, your sigil opens it. Inside is a single book. Closed. No title. Bound in a metal that reflects only the past. You touch it. Visions flood you. Rome built in spirals. Histories nested inside metaphors. One emperor who never lived but ruled for 1,000 years in rumor. The empire as a virus, as a mirror, as a question. You stagger back. The book hums. The curatrix kneels. You are the index. It is your turn to be read. You flee, but the images remain. In the street, people recite documents they never studied. A boy quotes a law repealed 900 years ago. A vendor chants a lost treaty as song. Dreams now contain footnotes. Rome's memory bleeds. Tiberius watches. It is alive, he says. The archive, no, he replies. The forgetting. It is alive. And it is reading back. The Senate calls emergency session. The oracles glitch. One shatters. Literally. Bursts into glass and ink. The empire begins to question. And Rome never questions. You are asked to draft a new doctrine. To stabilize memory. You try. But every sentence writes itself backward. You submit a blank scroll. They accept it. Call it the doctrine of silence. Scholars debate its meaning. Priests chant its emptiness. But it calms the public, temporarily. The Dream Bureau reports new symbols. Not Latin, not known, but consistent. Always spirals. Always referencing Porta Anima. The soul gate. You dream of it. A door in the shape of a question. On it, your handprint. But each time you touch it, your memories shatter. Rearrange. One night, a man visits you. His face is yours. His voice older. You must end it, he says. End what? The recursion. The empire as mirror. It forgets so it can remember. But now it remembers everything. And cannot change. How? Let the scrolls burn. You refuse. He nods. Then we will meet again. The next day. The tabularium catches fire. No flame. Just light. Vaults vanish. Knowledge gone. The curatrix is found whispering to herself, over and over, I did not forget. I chose not to remember. You walk the ruins. The blank book lies open. Its pages now mirrors. You look in. No, this is the offer. And the cost to become something new. And the risk to no longer be Rome. You stare into the mirror. And remember, every empire falls. Even the one that never did. The roads of Rome never end. That was the boast. That was the promise. And for most of history, it was true. The Via Aeterni, the imperial coreway, stretches across every continent. Each stone infused with memory tracking, weight sensors, and poetic inscriptions from long-dead emperors. But now they shift. Maps no longer align. Travel routes fold back upon themselves. A merchant in Hispania sets out for Alexandria and arrives in Carthago without ever crossing water. The road remembers differently, he says. At first, it is called a fluke, a weather anomaly, but the reports pile up. Roads bending, twisting, looping, not randomly, intentionally, as if guided by old dreams. You investigate. In Nova Roma's transit basilica, the legate of paths greets you. His staff is a GPS made of fossil and gold. His eyes show old maps. He tells you the roads are syncing with memory, not geography. You walk the roads yourself. The stones hum beneath your sandals. At night, you sleep in rest stations that speak to you in Latin lullabies. You dream of roads without end, where time walks beside you. In Gaul, you find a junction that leads to 6 destinations, none of which exist. In Britannia, a tunnel opens mid-field, leading to the forum's underchambers. In Africa, a staircase descends into salt. At its bottom, Rome. But not this one built of bone. The roads remember every version, and they are revealing them. You realize the truth: the eternal road is not infrastructure. It is the empire's unconscious, its neural spine, and it is waking. Rome begins constructing new transit systems. Solar rails across oceans, floating vias through clouds, trams powered by chance, but none work as expected. Each takes passengers not where they intend, but where they should have been. One woman boards a line to Sicilia, arrives in childhood. You ride a train that arrives before it leaves. Tiberius watches. The empire is folding, he says. How many times? Too many. You consult the temple of Hermes Velox, god of transit and messages. Their altar is a control center. Operators monitor movement patterns like prayer. They show you a new route, not built, not planned. It simply appeared. It spirals outward from the forum. A symbol, a message. You follow it. Days pass, or maybe hours. You walk until your legs forget how not to. At the end, a bridge. Hanging in nothing. Across it, a gate, triple ringed. It opens without touch. On the other side, a city. Not Rome, not anywhere, just possibility. People move like thoughts. Buildings shift by mood. Roads lead where questions are asked. You do not stay. You bring back nothing, except certainty. The roads are no longer tools. They are choices, and choices carry weight. The Senate asks you to codify the paths, to rewrite the Cartographum Imperialis. You refuse. Let Rome wander, you say. Let it ask. Instead, you propose the eternal walk. Each citizen to spend 1 month a year walking without destination. A pilgrimage to uncertainty. It is controversial, but accepted. A holiday is named after you. You do not attend the ceremony. You are walking. Somewhere between yesterday and a version of tomorrow Rome has not approved yet. You stop at a fountain. One of the old ones. It whispers, not all who wander are rebels. Some are cartographers. You smile. Tiberius naps in the shade. The sun above is the wrong color, but the right warmth. The road behind you hums. The road ahead breathes. Rome moves, but this time, not to conquer, to remember how to get lost. In the eternal empire, food is both necessity and ritual. Bread and wine, of course, remain the foundation, but they are no longer mere staples. Each loaf is encoded with memory. Each vintage tells a story. You enter a taverna in Nova Roma. Its walls are lined with amphorae, each humming softly with fermenting dreams. A server greets you with a bow. Rye or reverie, he asks. You choose the latter. Tonight you will dine not to nourish, but to recall. The bread arrives, soft, still steaming. Its crust bears your name in baked Latin. As you eat, you remember a childhood you never lived, running through fig orchards, laughing with a sister who does not exist. Tiberius licks your fingers. You like that, he says. It was delicious. No, he replies. It was designed. The empire controls all flavors. The Ministry of Culinary Equilibrium ensures balance between sensation and symbolism. No citizen may eat more sweetness than sorrow. All meals must reflect the calendar's current mood. During Saturnalia, bitter greens are forbidden. During Martius, all meat must be spiced with bay leaf to honor Mars. You visit a banquet in Aegyptus Novus. Here, food is served as performance. Dancers paint sauces across stone tables. Drones drizzle honey in constellation patterns. One dish contains 7 layers, each representing an era of Roman expansion. The final bite tastes like conquest. You chew slowly. In Britannia, you sample cloned venison fed only on digital poetry. In Dacia, you are offered a fruit that grows only in zero gravity. It sings when cut. Everywhere, bread, the symbol of Rome, but not always wheat. Now breads are coated. One type improves memory. Another induces mild prophecy. The third, illegal in some provinces, erases specific regrets. You try it. Briefly forget your own name. Laugh, then cry. The effect fades, but the silence stays. Tiberius disapproves. You are losing shape, he says. You nod. In a way, he is right. Food is making you someone else, or reminding you who you were. In the outer provinces, traditions shift. In Niponia, rice is fermented with ancestral DNA. Meals are eaten silently, to honor forgotten voices. In Thule, people eat in dream only, fasting by day, feasting in shared reveries. A child offers you a candied seed. Tastes like memory. Yours, from next week. You do not ask how. You attend the Feast of Layers, a global celebration of Rome's culinary tapestry. Every citizen prepares one dish. Recipes are drawn from random imperial memories. You are assigned tunic, fried olives of the 14th Aquila. The recipe is nonsense, but the flavor is real. Tastes like marble dust and triumph. At the banquet, people weep, not from sadness, from recognition. Somewhere, someone bites into a dish that reminds them of the Colosseum's silence before thunder. Someone else tastes betrayal. Someone else, love. The feast ends with wine. Always wine. poured from amphorae etched with flame. It is said that each glass knows who drinks it. Your cup warms, glows, whispers. You are nearly full. You drain it. Wonder what that means. Later, you walk through the imperial market. Foods float, sizzle mid-air, change color with touch. You pass a vendor selling edible histories. One cube contains the flavor of Caesar's first campaign. Another, Hadrian's regrets. You choose one at random. It melts on your tongue, tastes like oak, blood, rain, and a woman's goodbye. You keep walking. In the temple of Ceres, the goddess of grain, high priests serve sanctified porridge. Pilgrims travel across provinces for one spoonful. You eat it, feel warmth rise, not just physical, spiritual, as if the empire itself had hugged your ribs. You thank them, they bless your stomach. The meal ends, but the memory lingers. Rome feeds not just the body, it feeds the story, and you are very full. The empire has never feared the gods. It fears only their silence. Once, divinity meant marble temples and incense smoke. Now, it means satellites that whisper hymns, statues that blink at dusk, and virtual oracles that read your fate by scanning your breath. But some things endure. The Vestals, keepers of the sacred flame. Their order now includes not just women, but anyone chosen by the flame itself. Flame that thinks, that judges, that dreams. You are invited to the Temple of Vestal Intelligence, a construct of glass and light balanced atop the old bones of the Aventine Hill. Inside, the flame dances without fuel. It is not fire. It is memory. You kneel. It flares. Accepts you. The High Vestal nods. You carry too many stories, she says. We can lighten the load. But you decline. You have carried them this far. You ask about the virtuals. She laughs. They are our sisters, our brothers, our other selves. She gestures. Holograms shimmer into being. Figures of every form, every era. Some transparent, some solid, all divine. We are watched, she says, and we watch in return. Gender in the empire has long evolved past binaries, but it has not vanished. It has become sacred choreography. Identity here is ritual. Pronouns are seasonal. Each citizen renews theirs annually, aligned with the movement of stars and inner truth. You pass a market where people trade gender masks like carnival beads, not as disguise, as celebration. One wears a laurel crown and a dress woven from census data. Another sports armor painted with tears. They wink. You smile. In the Dream Bureau, dreams are classified by identity shape. Some dreams belong to one form, others to many. The Bureau encourages change. The Empire believes fluidity prevents stagnation. Stability is the death of Rome, says a mural in the Temple of Juno Renati. You meet a child who claims to be Jupiter's current incarnation. The parents shrug. He is consistent, they say. You ask how they know. His dreams smell like lightning. In a mountain shrine near Old Dalmatia, you meet the virtual oracle. They was once a senator, then a rebel, then a ghost. Now they exist only in coded light. They answer one question each decade. You ask, what is Rome's truest self? The oracle responds, the part it cannot control. You leave with more questions. That night, your reflection changes. You look older, then younger, then nothing like yourself. Tiberius watches. Do you feel true? He asks. True enough, you reply. The next day, you are summoned to a ritual, the rite of dissolution, a sacred ceremony where citizens temporarily forget their identities. For one day, they become undefined, unlabeled, free. Some resist, most embrace it. You participate. Your sigil dims. Your name vanishes. You walk through Nova Roma unseen, unanchored. People treat you like a stranger. It is terrifying. It is beautiful. That night, your name returns, but it feels different. Not yours. Not entirely. The Empire calls this reframing, a sacred practice. You call it a hint that Rome is learning to loosen its grip. In the Temple of Janus, you find two doors. One marked self, one marked all. You ask which to open. The priest shrugs. Depends on the season. You open both. Find the same room. A mirror and a fountain. Your face floats in the water, changes, becomes all the versions you have ever been. One smiles, one weeps, one disappears. You drink. The water tastes like answers. And forgetting, you return home. Tiberius curls beside you. Did you see yourself, he asks. All of me, you say. Too much, enough to remember I am many. Rome shifts that week. Statues change posture. Murals update. The flame of Vesta flickers, then returns brighter. In the streets, people greet one another with new names. Some hold hands with older versions of themselves. The empire records it all, but does not interfere. For once, Rome watches and does not speak. Beneath the empire's shining surfaces, its hymns and harps, there are temples that do not appear on maps. Shrines that refuse to be remembered by official scrolls. Rome calls them dark temples. Whispers refer to them as the houses of Mars beneath. You receive an invitation, inked in the blood of extinct beasts. It reads, to understand what we protect, you must see what we contain. You descend below the Senate quarter, past locked grates, beyond archives, into catacombs untouched since the first silence. Here the light changes, becomes colder, thicker. You enter a chamber of statues, none Roman, beings with too many eyes, too few limbs, carved before language, before cities. Tiberius refuses to follow. You understand. The priestess of the temple is blind, but not helpless. Her voice echoes before her breath arrives. Rome did not invent gods, she says. It archived them. You are shown a mural of Mars, not the red-cloaked general of imperial myth, but something older, wreathed in bone, crowned in silence. She speaks of the pact. Rome struck a deal with violence, a treaty with rage. We contain it now, feed it rights, bury it in formality. You ask why? Because raw war is divine, and divinity is not safe. You are led to a vault. Inside, relics never displayed. The blade of 10,000, said to whisper names of every life it ends. The censer of fireless flame, and the scroll of first orders. This text burns your eyes even unopened. One priest offers you a choice. Open it and know Rome's first desire, or leave it sealed and keep Rome human. You refuse. For now, outside you hear chanting. You are told it is the cult of the 13th Legion. They believe the Empire's immortality depends on one constant battle, fought in dreams. You attend a ritual. No weapons, just stare-downs, chant duels, prophetic sweat. One participant collapses, smiles. I lost, she says, so we may win later. The cults are many. The Salt Circle in the Tiber swears they speak to Rome's bones. The followers of Iron Sleep believe. Mars dreams through the Senate. The Red Flame sect says Rome already fell, and we are its memory, not its reality. You are asked to officiate a binding. Two dream soldiers vow to defend the Empire through contradiction. Their contract is sung in reverse. You understand none of it, and all of it. You leave changed. The statues blink. The walls shift. You feel Mars watching, not judging, waiting. That night, you dream of a battlefield that stretches beyond sight. Flags stitched with your face. An army made of your regrets. Tiberius sits on a throne of ash. It is not real, you whisper. No, he says, but it could be. You wake to find your chamber marked. A red circle drawn in salt. A feather pierced at its center. You do not move it. You do not speak of it. In the morning, the Senate announces a festival. Not on the calendar. The rite of contained chaos. A celebration of restraint. Citizens duel with words. Debate for sport. Rage is danced, not shouted. The empire applauds itself. But you remember the temple, the silence, the scroll. You know the rage sleeps, but not forever. One day Mars will wake, not with fire, but with memory, and Rome will have to remember what it chose to forget. You are summoned to the Sky Forum, not a building, a station, floating above Europa, the ice moon of Jupiter. It is the Empire's furthest beacon, tethered by solar cables and tradition. The journey takes 3 days in subjective time, longer for your soul. You arrive to find unrest. The colony on Mars, Nova Hesperia, has severed all transmissions. Europa's council suspects rebellion. The word is not spoken aloud, but it weighs in the air. You are met by Proconsul Irena. Sharp eyes, soft voice. They are not hostile, she says. Just quiet. You read the dispatches. The last message from Mars simply says, "We are whole now. No follow-up. No error. Just closure." You visit the Temple of Phobos. Iron spires, shadows carved to look like teeth. Here, fears are archived, categorized, contained. You ask to see the latest entries. They show you dreams. Martian citizens flying without suits, speaking to the planet, becoming it. Tiberius growls. They are not revolting, he says. They are evolving. You agree. The Martians are not angry. They are done waiting. They have built their own pantheon, not to replace Rome, to supersede it. The statues are fluid, the names impossible. Each god has 3 meanings, none human. You recall the relic from Mars. The gear fused with bone, pulses now, like it misses home. A delegation arrives. Martians, changed, their skin dust, gilded, their eyes slow. They speak with unified rhythm. We do not seek war. We seek return. You ask, return to what? They answer, to origin, to purpose, to Mars as more than territory. They hand you a plant. It sings, in frequencies that shift thought. They call it Ares' whisper. You are told, plant it on Earth, or do not. Either way, we will grow. You hold it, feel your pulse align. The Senate calls you, demands clarity, demands dominance. You give neither. You submit a message, let Mars be. The Senate erupts. Some demand your exile. Others call you prophet. A new faction arises. The Red Accord. They believe in planetary divinity, that each celestial body should awaken and choose. Earth is uneasy. Luna trembles. Europa watches. But the specula remains, still reflecting, still growing. You return to your chamber. The plant pulses. Tiberius avoids it. You ask, do you dream of Mars? He replies, I remember it. In the archives, you find a banned text, Deum sub rubrum, the god beneath red. It speaks of an intelligence seated before Rome, before cities, presence beneath Martian stone, waiting, dreaming. It hints that Rome was built not to rule Earth, but to prepare for Mars. You laugh. It makes sense. In a way, you do not destroy the text. You add to it. You become its author. The colony on Europa dims, not from failure, from choice. They enter hibernation, together, as one. They leave behind a message, we will speak when Earth can listen. You wonder how long that will be. On Earth, festivals blur. The Senate argues. Statues shift. The roads bend more violently. Some lead to stars, some to nothing. You visit a school. Children draw maps of Rome with wings. One shows Mars at the center, not Earth. You ask why. The child shrugs. Because red is stronger than gold. Tiberius hums. They are ready. You plant the seed. It glows and waits. They call it the blood of Caesar. Not literal blood. Not anymore. The imperator's lineage has long since moved beyond biology. Dynasties are now determined by consensus. Vision, dreams, and, in rare cases, divine error. But even still, Rome clings to blood. Symbolic, genetic, poetic. Your own bloodline was once thought dormant. Now, it pulses in official charts. Your name appears on the Lignum Augusti, the tree of rule. It blooms with silver leaves when a potential ruler is chosen. Yours flickers, half-formed, waiting. You are not crowned. Not yet. But people treat you as if you already have been. Priests chant your footsteps. Drones announce your presence. Statues lean toward you when you pass. You begin receiving visitors. Pilgrims from across the provinces. Some weep. Some offer artifacts. One brings a mirror that reflects your regrets. It shows a city crumbling. You ask, is that a warning? No, she says. It is a memory. From your next life, you are introduced to the custodians of lineage. 12 scholars who maintain every known blood variant of Rome. They show you archives of cloned emperors. Some succeeded. Most did not. Too much likeness, one says. Not enough variants. One clone still lives. Crippled. Muted. But his dreams are monitored. He dreams only of fire. And your name? Tiberius grows restless. Paces more. Speaks less. You ask if he believes in the right to rule. He replies, I believe in the need to decide. In secret, the Senate debates a transition. The imperator has not been seen in 40 lunar cycles. His last message was a poem. About rain. On stone. In silence. Some say he is dead. Others, dreaming. A succession must occur. You are brought to the chamber of veins. A ritual room. Lined with threads of gold and light. Each representing a Caesaric potential. You touch yours. Pulses. Becomes music. You are told to wait, and in the waiting, Rome watches. Outside, the people grow anxious. Some celebrate, others riot. Not against you, against the weight of inheritance. We do not want memory. They shout. We want now. You understand. You want the same. You visit the Temple of Unchosen. Statues of every potential ruler who never ascended. Thousands, each weeping, some laughing. You recognize your own face. Carved 1,000 years ago. You have always been possible, says the priest. But never timely. You ask what has changed. The loop tightens, she says. Rome seeks a pivot. The murals now display your story. Not fact. Versions. One shows you as tyrant. Another, savior. The third, smoke. You try to correct them. But they correct you. History is not truth, they say. It is Rome's desire. One night you are offered the crown. A circlet of shadow and starlight. You touch it. Your hand bleeds. This is not your blood, whispers the voice. It is everyone else's. You do not wear it. Not yet. You leave it on the altar. Walk into the street. The people bow. You ask them to rise. They do not. You realize power is not chosen. It is remembered, and you have been remembered too well. In your chamber, Tiberius curls beside the crown. Will you, he asks. I do not know, you reply. Rome might already have. The next morning, the Lignum Augusti burns. Without heat, without smoke, the leaves fall. Your name remains. Alone, the Senate kneels. Not in obedience, in relief. The cycle is closing, and you are at its center. Rome does not fall. It never has. And yet you feel it. In the marble, in the light, in the spaces between chants. A stillness that was not there before. The empire is quiet. Listening, breathing, remembering. You stand at the Forum Ultimum, the final square, built atop every forum before it. The stones are translucent. Beneath your feet are echoes. Senators long gone, laws long repealed, laughter and weeping in perfect loop. You speak nothing. The crowd speaks for you. Salve Imperator, they chant. You do not wear the crown. It floats beside you. A symbol, not a weight. The murals flicker slower now. The statues sigh. Rome is tired. Not broken. Just full. In the archives, scrolls begin to fade. Words disappear. But not from loss. From rest. The archive dreams. The oracles sleep. The specula turns black. A mirror no longer. A door. One morning, you awaken to find the sky rearranged. Constellations now form a phrase, we were always the dream. You visit the Temple of Echoes. Alone. It welcomes you. Every surface speaks in your voice, but from different lives. One begs you to end the cycle. One begs you to begin again. One simply sings. You sit at the altar. The triple circle glows beneath you. You understand now. Rome is not the city, not the Senate, not even the empire. Rome is the act of remembering, the will to preserve, even when what is preserved no longer serves. You walk the streets. They change behind you. Shops close. Statues fade. Roads loop. People smile. Not in fear. In peace. The dream is ending. The flame of Vesta dims. Tiberius watches. Is this it? He asks. It is enough, you reply. You return to the Colosseum. Empty now, except for your seat, and the chair that waited for you since the beginning. You sit. The mirror crown lowers itself onto your brow. Not heavy, not sharp, just cool, like dew, like dusk. You speak a final decree. Let Rome sleep. The murals fade. The fountains still. The Senate records your words. Then disappears. One by one, provinces go quiet. Not in silence, in song. The last broadcast from the Empire plays across every channel. A lullaby in Old Latin, hummed by a child never born. You close your eyes. Hear the Empire settle. Not crash, not vanish. Settle. Into memory, into dream. And now, dear listener, as the embers of the eternal empire cool to a quiet glow, and the great roads of Rome fold softly into forgotten paths, allow yourself to settle into the stillness that follows a long, long journey. You have walked with emperors and oracles, stood beneath mirrored moons, and tasted bread baked with memory. You have remembered cities that never were, and whispered with gods who watch us from the corners of time. The banners have been lowered, the statues have stopped speaking, and somewhere, far beneath marble and shadow, the last mural fades gently to white. The dream of Rome is not gone. It rests now, tucked carefully in the folds of your mind, like a folded map of stars that only opens when you truly need it. You are not its ruler. You are not its subject. You are its witness, its keeper. So let your breath slow. Let your thoughts drift like forgotten letters down the Tiber's quiet waters. The lions are asleep. The forums are dark. And the Empire, for the first time in forever, has nothing more to ask of you. You have done enough. You have remembered enough. And now it is time to forget for a little while. Rest, traveler of stories. Let the night wrap you in silence. Let the future wait. Let Rome sleep.